Welcome to LIS754, Systems Analysis and Design. And in this video, we are going to talk about the requirements assignment. The assignment for this session is to create use cases for your system. This is a really crucial assignment. I would like you to, I hope that you have time to really devote to this, to spend some time really thinking about this. If you can, it will make your future assignments much easier if you have a really good set of use cases and you know what your system needs to do. Doing things like developing your data model, developing the user interface will be so much easier. So I would really encourage you to spend some time thinking about that this week. So the issue is that you need to do a couple of things. You need to define your system. Do you have to segment your system into primary sections? Perhaps you want to do things like creating data, online searching, managing user comments, managing customers. Whatever your system is, you're going to have to come up with what those big things are. You're going to have interview yourself for gathering what the primary functions of this system are. You're going to need to determine your primary actors. You may have customers, you may have patrons, you may have staff, you may have a sales force, you may have another primary system that you need to interact with. You may have students, you may have teachers, you may have administrators. Think about who your primary actors are. And then create some use cases. Create some use cases. It's helpful if you start with a drawing, just to give you a big picture, to help you see what you might be missing. There is a form. I have not, as of yet, cared about the format of your documents. I do care in this assignment. There is a form, a Google form. It's not a Google form. It's a Google document. The URL is in the slides. The URL is also on the assignment page. It's also on the Canvas session page. Before you start typing, please make a copy of the template. You can do it in Google Docs. You may download it as a Word document and work in Word. Whichever you choose to do is fine with me. If you keep it as a Google Doc, the easiest thing to do is to share it as a URL so that whoever has the URL can, and it's really helpful if it's not just viewed, if it's not just viewable, but if it's editable, then I can make comments, your teammates can make comments. It's really helpful to have it be editable, allow people to edit it. I would appreciate that. Make a copy before you start typing. Here's making a drawing. Use case diagrams can be very helpful. This is not required. You don't have to turn it in, but it could help your thought process. So in this system that I have been working on for a repository for student work for e-portfolio management that I mentioned in another video, this is the drawing that I came up with for the students. You can see that I scratched out, that I did not write with my best drawing, but this is helpful. It's helpful to me. It was helpful to my thought process. It may be helpful to your thought process. It can be very casual like this. Again, you do not need to turn it in. If you want to amuse your classmates and take a picture of it and share it, that's fine. I don't need it. I do, but it does help you to list the actions and to list the actors. So remember that the use cases are verbs, and you can see create an account, create a password, deposit data, find an existing artifact, update, delete, add, evaluate. Those are verbs. Those are the use cases. I have students, I have faculty, And I have secondary actors here that are systems, the registrar's system, the IT password system, cloud storage. You don't need to use your judgment whether these are useful to you or not. If they just make things confusing, don't do it. This is to help you organize your thoughts. For me, because this was a different, the way this is going to have to work is that when I deposit data, I deposit it in one system, but the files actually go into another system. And so it's helpful for me to know that. At this point, it may not be helpful to you to have that level of specificity. So don't worry about it. But this is the system that I'm working on, actually, this semester. List the actions, list the actor, make these little drawings. This could be helpful. What I do want you to use is this use case form. This is an extract of the form that is on Google Drive. The author is you. The date is the date you do it. The version may be 1.0. That might be a reasonable thing to do. This is your first version. You might put 0.5 or whatever you want to use, but be consistent. 1.0 makes a lot of sense. Use case name. This is really important. You may want to use a use case number. You are not required to. You are not required to put in a priority, although it might be helpful to you to have a priority. Source could be helpful to you if you actually are doing this kind of a project. The source is, where did you get this use case from? So if this came from accounting, you might put accounting. If this came from senior management, you might put senior management. For our purposes, for our class project, if you have a source, fine. If you don't have a source, if they all come from your imagination, there's no need to put in a source. The primary business actor, that you need to put in. Other participating actors, that you should put in. Interested stakeholders, you should do that. The description, this is very important. A typical course of events, this is the steps that we talked about. Alternative courses, so these are what happens when something goes wrong in the typical course of events. When is this use case over? So in terms of adding a new password, it is the password is successfully updated. A post condition, is there anything that has to happen after the actor is done? Are there business rules that you know of? Are there any constraints that you know about? Are there any assumptions that you are making? And what are the open issues? If you go onto the Canvas site and you look at the examples that I have up there from my system, it might help you in your thinking. So feel free to take a look at those. Not all of these things are filled in for everyone. The more detail you have, the easier the rest of your project will be. If you don't, excuse me, the more detail you can put in, the better off you will be later on. You may have to come back to these and add them as you go through the course of this process. There are several videos. There's an example of how to build a use case for a simple system. So feel free to take for an ATM system. Please take a look at that and let me know if you have questions. So and as with your other processes, you will share this with your team and get feedback. So please be sure to follow all the directions on the assignments page and let me know if you have questions. All right. Talk to you soon.